You got it wrong. Nico got it right.
Constitution Hill is beatable.
Is Paddy probably the weirdest person?
Oh, he's an absolute weirdo. Like,
They're all fine. I'm out here with John Bond as we speak.
Incredible performance. Wow.
So how was Christmas?
Lovely Christmas.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Miss Unbridled?
A little bit.
Did you?
I did.
What about New Year? Do you go crazy New Year's Eve?
Yeah, I went to bed at 9:30.
Well, what an exciting person you are.
No, not for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Unbridled or bridled New Year's Eve?
bridled.
Bridled. Well, happy New Year to you. Welcome, everyone, by the way. We're on apparently now. Welcome to Unbridled, episode 6, Paddy. We've made the half a dozen.
We have.
There's only one way
No.
to start it, isn't there? With the old, we have got a glass of shampoo. Now, I'm a bit worried, actually, because in the studio there are a lot of lights. I'm just thinking this cork crash straight into it and we're off air straight away. Ooh, don't you love that sound?
Yeah.
That sound, if you're listening to this on Spotify or anything like that, you're driving down the motorway, you're immediately thinking, oh, I'd love a glass of that. Not while driving, obviously. But, now, I bought actually these are my best glasses, do not break these. You're only good at pouring champagne. There must be a way of doing it where it doesn't fizz up. Off you go. You'll be, are you an experienced drinker?
No, I'm not a big champagne drinker now.
Are you?
I didn't
You will
do
be
much.
after this. This is a good little bottle, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm told.
Anyway.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Viral Paddy. That's what they call you now, isn't it? Have you started to be called viral?
No.
Mm.
Oh, lots of
So
things.
tell me about where the sun has been shining recently.
Yeah,
Out
I've had
your
a few
I
heavy
could-
blows.
I'm having calls every day from restaurants and things. Tell me the experience of having an opinion, giving it out there, and getting it wrong, which I have no problem with at all. I've done that all my career. But I just what I loved about the whole thing. And if you don't know, if you're watching this show for the first time, Paddy said Constitution Hill not only wouldn't win the Christmas hurdle at Kempton on Boxing Day, but he also said the horse wouldn't turn up. So you got the turn up bit completely wrong. I tried to put you on the right path. You wouldn't accept it. You got the victory thing completely wrong. You couldn't have got it more wrong.
Yeah, but in my defence, I was in trouble. I was in trouble early at Kempton. It wasn't good viewing for me because Lossie Mount jumped the first, and I thought she's in big trouble. She skied it a bit. Maybe she couldn't go that pace. Maybe she didn't turn up. But yeah,
It's not really about that, though, is it? It's about getting it wrong.
I'm happy to get it wrong.
Yeah.
I'll get it wrong again.
What I loved about it is that I think there were around 950,000 viewers on ITV that day. Your clip has been watched by nearly 800,000. Well, to say individual people would be wrong because I've watched it at least 3 times, so I'd be 3. But let's say at least 500,000 people have watched your clip around the world already. And that means a big majority of ITV viewers would have seen what you've said. And that was what was so great about what Nikolai Chastel de Boinville said, because, you know, we are so lacking big opinions in this game, and particularly from former jockeys, like people really sticking their neck out. And I thought, whether you were right or wrong, and it was obviously much better for this show, it's much better for this discussion that you were wrong, but I thought it was just so good, Paddy, that you had that opinion. And you know what? I'm going to say this, and I've waffled on a little bit too long now, but when I was first approached to do this show, and all my other shows have been taken away, Ask the Handicapper, Racing Debate, On the Line, they've all gone. No shows anymore at all. And when I was asked to do this, and I really wanted to do something, you were the first person I said, I want Paddy Brennan. I know Paddy will be good. And everything that's happened with this is why. Because all I wanted was an opinion, and I couldn't care less whether it's wrong or right. Yeah. But if you don't have an opinion, I can't debate with you.
I'm always going to have an opinion. And sometimes my opinions can be too loud.
No.
be too wide,
Never.
and they can be wrong.
Never.
But what we're going to bring to the table in this instance is
Mm.
bringing a character. Like, whoever seen that side of Nico de Bonneville before?
Yeah.
Nobody. It's boring at times. In here, we're like real. And Nico said what he said. I didn't actually hear it live. My phone was going mental in my pocket, and he let fly. And yeah, stick it where the sun don't shine.
Yeah. I
Nico.
think slightly helped by the David Power Cup. Because I have to say, I felt a bit uncomfortable about the whole thing. Because obviously I'm involved in Unbridled. I'm reporting on ITV. And I'm thinking, are my bosses at ITV going to get really annoyed with what's just happened there? But ultimately, it was good for everyone because it just brought out characters, and we are so lacking. And look, when Frankie Dettori, I know this is flat racing, but when Frankie Dettori left, everyone said there's no characters around. You know, jumps racing. Like, if you actually said which jumps jockey in the street do people know about? I mean, do you think Sean Bowen? People, if you walked into your local supermarket, people would know what Sean Bowen looks like. I'm not sure. And what we're trying to do, and also with Champions Full Gallop as well, and shows like this is bring out characters.
Yeah.
Because all these people, we know, you know better than I, Paddy, all these jockeys have massive character because you can't really do the job if you're not a character.
No, it's obviously you've got to show your professionalism all the time, but there is character. Everyone's different, and as I said, on this instance, we've seen a character, Nico, we hadn't seen, but I think we can see many, many more, and we'll give opinions, and sometimes we'll be right, and sometimes we'll be wrong.
A photo went round afterwards where you shook the hand of Chastel. Did he take that willingly or was it grudgingly?
No, I went into the weigh room to call him out because obviously I was at Kempton, and yeah, just to say well done, because you win or lose, you learn to be professional. And yeah, Ben Pauling was there I asked him would he take the photo, and we were happy to shake hands.
Did he say anything to you? Like,
Nico?
Yeah.
There was a neff or two involved, yeah, but we move on to the next day.
Yeah.
It ain't over yet.
Was he slightly scared when you walked in?
No,
You think he feared?
he's
Do you
not.
think he was a bit fearful?
He's not scared of me.
Hold on, Pat. I got to Zoomer. Yeah, the steak is how much? Yeah. Okay, I'll get back to you. I've got one or two other restaurants calling me in the next hour or so, but that sounds great. 250 a dish, yeah. Okay, thank you. Right, that's one of them. I'm thinking Zoomer wouldn't be a bad spot.
Scots, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Done some research. Mr. Buckley, he likes it there, so yeah, that could be the one.
I mean, the profits at the Ivy have gone down since Big Mac passed away, so you'd feel like you could do the Ivy a bit of a service, but there are many other places.
You wouldn't believe how many emails I've had with restaurants offering their services for this famous dinner.
You know, the funniest thing is, almost every message I've had is just that, take him to the cleaners. Go,
Yeah.
And I've been sort of thinking to myself, genuinely, I've been thinking, whatever happens, I'll go halves on this. Like, whatever happens.
No, no,
But,
we're good at.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to. We just got to set a date, and I'm hoping Nicky Henderson will come as well.
the problem I've got is that I'm not what you would call a foodie,
Right.
and I'm strongly of the opinion that sometimes the most expensive food is crap, and some of the cheapest food is fantastic. Like, I'm very happy with a kebab
Yeah.
on a night out. Like,
Right.
I love a kebab.
You don't want any food.
Well, no, I mean, a kebab is food.
No, we're
A
gonna have
kebab will cost
we're
you
gonna have-
$6.95.
Yeah. Well, this ain't going to cost $6.95. We're going to have some nice food. But
$695.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Anyway, look, I hope you have a great new year. Could you start drinking your champagne? Because it'd be interesting to see how this show started and how it ends after half a bottle. The great thing is when I'm drinking, I can't talk. Let's talk. Go back to that Christmas hurdle then. So, I suppose let's start with Constitution Hill. Is Constitution Hill back, or is he merely backish?
I think backish. I think it's the first time you could have watched him in a race and looked and thought he's beatable.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't think he was beatable at any moment in that race.
I think Nico was unbelievable on him. He had a plan. But the bit I watched closely was Nico was just almost ready for if the tank emptied. He didn't give Constitution a chance for the tank to empty. He was aware of his position. He was sharp, jumped incredible. Was one hurl he was a little bit too brave. He doesn't want to keep that up, or he'll be on the floor. But he jumped brilliant. But where Nico was about 10 strides before the last, normally he'd have been able to just put the bit up on his mouth and jump up and show him off. He soon bent down and he squeezed him hard the whole way to the line. That's where I thought this horse is beatable.
Was the first time that the old shillelagh came out,
Was that right? Was it the first time?
as far as I can remember, yeah?
Yeah, he was ready for that. Because Nico had it in his mind. This lad could empty today.
Okay. I want you to look at that camera over there and just repeat those words that you just said, because I'm not putting words in your mouth. Constitution Hill is beatable.
Constitution Hill is beatable.
Constitution Hill is unbeatable. There, we have it out there now.
I love it.
So I just completely disagree. I just think his hurdling. I know he's been flamboyant before. Do you remember the last flight in the champion hurdle where he could have almost done an Annie Power?
Yeah. That's where Nico's brilliant on him. He knows him so well. Look, he's getting there by narrow margins. Maybe he always will. Yeah, he's great to watch.
Jumping, I think, is exceptional. Like when you get a hurdler who really jumps, like there is a difference, isn't there, between an electric hurdling horse and an electric 2-mile chaser. It's a different technique completely.
Yeah, but the motor's always up with him, Matt. He's got power. And that's what makes him so good, so quick from A to B, is the power he's bringing down to a flight. It's incredible to watch. You don't see it in many horses. Yeah, he's so good from A to B.
So Lossiemouth, from what you said at the top of the show, you clearly feel wasn't at the races at all, really, and wasn't. Remember, it's only beaten just over 2 lengths.
I couldn't believe how close she got, considering everything. Maybe, look, there's 2 things here. She didn't turn up. 2, maybe 4 runners, she's out the back, she's cold. When you drop in a race like that and you're out the back with no horses around you, you can just go to sleep. Maybe she went to sleep a little bit too much, but what gives you encouragement and hope, if you're Willie Mullins or Rich Ritchie, is that she was only beaten 2 lengths in a champion hurl, slower ground, maybe you wouldn't rule her out.
Yeah. The other thing is, she does seem to come alive at Cheltenham left-handed, like her sizzling performances have come at Cheltenham for me.
Yeah, definitely. And look, she never ran against that in like Constitution Hill before, so that was a first, and maybe it put her in her place a little bit. But back at Cheltenham, 2 mile, softish ground, I'd still be on her side. I wouldn't rule her out.
Just going back to Constitution Hill, I always like looking back at quotes and analysis from when horses start their career. Like, for instance, it's interesting if you're a racing fan, I think, looking back to what people wrote about Frankel when he beat Nathaniel on debut. This is the quote from Nicky Henderson when Constitution Hill won the 12:05 at Sandown on the 4th of December 2021, which I think is just it's worth just having in the back of your mind. Nicky said, "He is the most extraordinary creature I've come across in years. He will go back to his stable and go to sleep now. I hope he's high class, and he's definitely a chaser for the future. Definitely." It just shows you that he'd come from the point-to-point world, of course, Constitution Hill. So in the back of Nicky's mind, he's already thinking he's a chaser. But it just shows you how not everyone knows everything about every horse immediately.
Absolutely, but if you watched his point to point, you wouldn't be jumping up and down saying he was a chaser. If the more you watch, you think like he should have fallen at 3 or 4 fences. He did incredibly well. So, look, he hasn't made a chaser, but he's not going to make a chaser at this stage. But he's an incredible horse.
We want Lossiemouth to take on Constitution Hill in the Champion Hurdle. Every podcast that's been out there has debated the Mayor's Hurdle. I've been on about the Mayor's Hurdle almost since the day it started, till I'm blue in my. I've written so many articles out it for years and years and years and years and years. The dilution of the Cheltenham Festival is a problem. The mares people will say, oh, mares are only kept in training. People are only buying mares because of this one race. They have no evidence for that. They just say it. And I think it's utter trash. I've got to say, if you're a breeder out there, it's just utter trash. The idea that all these people are breeding horses just for one race. We're not talking about the mayor's programme. We're talking about one race. I am 100% behind the mayor's programme and how it's advanced. I think it's great for racing. But this one race with one chance to win each year apparently is the be-all and end-all. And we all know that's utter crap. It's crap. There's no way all these highly intelligent, rich people are breeding horses on the basis they might just win one race. It has to be nonsense. The only people who have caused this problem are Cheltenham, effectively. Like, it's so easy. And look, there's two obvious ways. Everyone's said it. I've been saying it for years. You either make it just a 0 to 150 and you solve yourself a problem straight away, or you put in those stupid clauses that people have started coming up with, like, oh, if you haven't won a Grade 1 hurdle for the last 6 months or 12 months or 18 months, which I just think is like just becoming so pathetic. Like, you just make it a 0 to 150, don't you? If you're better than 150, you run in the stairs hurdle or the champion hurdle. And I'll give you finally, Paddy, on this, because this topic really upsets me.
I can see that.
It really does. Finally on this. They've taken away the 2.5 mile chase, novice chase, made it a handicap, Why have they done that? To force people to run. And yet with the mares, they've done exactly the opposite. They've given them an opportunity. Now, you're horsey. I bet you think the mares is fantastic. I bet you, it's so great for all the breeders trying to win races. I bet you think it's fantastic.
No, but from a Cheltenham Festival point of view, Matt, honestly, it's massive, right?
Bollocks.
And no, listen, when I won the Gold Cup, I pulled up and I went, I won a Cheltenham Festival. I didn't think, and then I went, actually, I won the Gold Cup. You don't think every race there sometimes feels like the same. And for the mayor's race is put in, I don't disagree with you. It wouldn't be the worst idea to get rid of it. But while it's there, it's going to suck horses like Lossy Might, Brighter Days Ahead.
Yeah, so it's wrong.
Yeah.
Because
Must be it.
because if you put on, I've said,
but it's there, so we can't do anything about it.
I know it's an extreme, but if you put a selling hurdle on, Brighter Days Ahead would run in that.
Yeah, possibly.
Because Jigginstown just want a winner.
Yeah.
They've said it.
Yeah.
They just want a winner.
Anyway, they're saying that at the minute, but she could run the champion. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay, well, let's get on to her then. So we want Lossiemouth in the champion hurdle.
Yeah.
Brighter Days Ahead. Now, is that form worth anything? Because let's face it, in 2 runs this season, State Man has not been this. Even if you don't think he's the greatest champion hurdler of all time, and I certainly don't, in 2 runs this season, he showed the opposite to the qualities he's shown in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. He was, when they jumped off, I couldn't believe how quick they were going. Gordon's pacemaker and Brighter Days Ahead. And I thought Stateman Paul Townsend was happy. He was going as fast as he could go, but once you got halfway down the back, you could see the signals for Stateman weren't good. But Brighter Days Ahead, it was a hell of a performance. The one race I always go back to is the mares at Cheltenham. When she got beat, you wonder now, how did she get beat? But they went really slow that day, and I think she's almost like a nanny power kind of ride in a champion hurl. You got to really end to end. She stays extremely well. I was really impressed with her.
I thought the tactics they used, again, this is another debate, like, should there even be tactics in jumps racing or flat racing? But I actually love tactics, because I think in every sport there are tactics. There's tactics in football, there's tactics in motor racing, there are tactics. And I thought the tactics Gordon Elliott employed showed such a level of intelligence that you might not imagine that Gordon necessarily would have. Like, it was brilliant.
Yeah, but he would have learned from that mare's hurl at Cheltenham. He would have learned from the pace of that and what happened that day. You learn by mistakes. But tactics, that was just genius. It was, plan, going to the start. They had a plan. Both lads jumped off. No messing about. Brilliant.
We should say, because we haven't done so yet, that our old sponsors, BoyleSports, fantastic. Thank you for supporting us. We've got 6 episodes. Yeah. I know when Boyle signed what can only be described as a big money contract, particularly in your case. When they signed the contract, they never thought we'd get to 6. They thought, like, this will be a one-job wonder and they'll be taken off air. And we nearly were, to be fair. Yeah. But thank you to Boyle for supporting us. A word on Gordon Elliott. When he was amateur at Martin Pipes, like, again, he didn't come across as the brightest soul on earth. Behind the scenes, though, he must have been exactly that. He was watching, he was learning. 2,000 winners, 100 grade 1s. To come from where Gordy has come from, I think is one of the most extraordinary journeys probably in the history of jumps racing.
Yeah,
Not bred into it or anything like that, is he?
he's done incredibly well. Look, I'd say what he learned of Martin Pipes to start with is about winning. Winning. There was nothing else mattered there when he was there, bar winning, champion trainer. But he's took so much out of there, took it back to Ireland, and he's does things his way. But he's an incredible trainer, and yeah, he's getting better and better.
I just think there's a lot of thinking. People, the one thing we never see with trainers, and again, it's why I loved you having strong opinions, is because we don't see stuff. We don't see strong opinions, and we don't see the thinking that goes on behind the scenes. I try before races to say to people, look, the jockeys have gone out now. What have you told your jockey to do?
Yeah.
So that we can learn, like, if they're doing what they've been told for a start, or roughly what's the thinking. But the way Gordon thought about that race, that this is a mare, she probably needs 2.5. She's got a high cruising speed. She'll keep going at that one pace, and she jumps for fun. I mean, she's like an Apple's Jade or something like that. She's a proper mare, isn't she? She really is, I think.
Absolutely. But what makes Gordon so good as well is competing with Willie Mullins. Willie Mullins is dragging him up all the time. The competition is fierce. He's got to deal with him every day, and that is making him better.
Let's continue with a look at the Christmas period. Banbridge against Ile Francais in the King George VI chase. Paul Townend, would you say one of the rides of the year?
Yeah, look, brilliant ride. I probably
You don't sound so convinced.
I wouldn't go that far. I thought
Okay.
El de France, or what his name is.
Ile Francais.
Ile
Paddy.
Francais. Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, one of the best horses in training. Ile Francais.
He got him in trouble, a lot of them, seriously early. He put them under the cosh from a very early stage. And it was fascinating watching. He never missed a fence. I thought that was brilliant to watch. But like we said previous to that race on this show, winning down the back is no good. You're winning at the winning post. And Paul Townsend from 2 out got a sniff. And it reminded me of the great Q Card Vautour. He got a sniff. And
Who won that race?
Q Card.
Ridden by?
Me.
Okay.
But
Who was
you know what I
second?
mean? He had Vautour.
Ridden by?
Ruby.
One of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
You destroyed him.
Nailed him.
Okay.
But that was like Paul Townsend knew from landing off 2 out. He had a right sniff and it was brilliant. Yeah, I texted him after and said, a day you'll never forget. What a race to win.
And let's just start with Townend. Champion Hurdle, Gold Cup, Grand National, King George. When he took over from Ruby Walsh, some people will have thought this is a downgrade. It wasn't.
No, he's a cool customer and he's not. Paul Townsend's
Townend. People got upset with you. You quit calling him Townsend.
Townend. Got
Mind you, if you don't even know the name of Ile Francais, how are you going to get Paul Townend right?
Paul Townend. He has just gone under the radar and he continues to do so. He's one of the best jockeys.
Have a bit more. You might.
One of the best jockeys in Ireland, and he goes around cool as and he is brilliant to watch. He's I'm delighted for him. He's a lovely lad as well.
All I can hear in my ear is the producer, who's Callum today, because Tom, our usual producer, is on holiday still with the missus. Nubbly missus.
Yeah.
Just to keep her happy. Callum's now said in my ear for the 3rd time, have they sworn again? That's all I get in my ear. Have they sworn again? But yes, the answer to that is yes, you did, didn't it? You did. You did
Going back to Paul Townsend, do you remember the day at Punchestown when it was short? Townend. Okay, let's move on with that.
Yeah.
But when they thought the last fence was being dulled off, but it actually wasn't. Remember that day?
Yeah.
It was the way all that was handled though. When he went back to work the next morning in Willie's, they made a laugh, a joke about it. I think the next day he came out and won 3 Grade 1s. To be a great jockey, you need to have a great boss, and he does.
You know, the great thing, look, in the old days when at the races used to do the Irish racing, I was over in Ireland almost every week, and Townend had completely mastered the ability to be a jockey, one of these jockeys that butter would not melt in his mouth on the track.
Yeah.
But the moment he left the racecourse, he was an absolute lunatic.
Yeah.
And he'd mastered that. And so anyone watching him would just think quietly spoken, doesn't really say a lot,
No.
looks as though he's thinking about it a lot, which he might well be. Off the track, I mean, there were some Galway festivals, like, what was it, Hole in the Wall?
Yeah, good spot.
3 a.m. in the morning.
Would he?
And then he'd be riding the next day like a Trojan. I'm sure those days have long gone. But you know, it was. I bet you've had some good nights out in the Hole in the Wall in.
Yeah, I was
Galway.
never able to do that late night and ride the next day where some people are. The great Paul Carberry could do it, but nah.
Oh yeah, some good Irish dancing at 3 a.m. in the morning.
And turn up and ride the boots off everyone the next day. Lads, some people can do that. I couldn't.
I could do the presenting.
Could you? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes later than 3 a.m. But that's another story. Right. Okay. So just moving forward, I would like to see. So I've been absolutely dissed for saying this in one or two places on one or two podcasts. I'd like to see LA Fonse banged out in front in the champion chase. I'm just saying that's what I would like.
Yeah, that's a big call, Matt. And you know, it could look like that, but when you actually come back to 2 miles and you're going that same gallop that he is at the minute, suddenly you're under a lot more pressure.
See, I don't think you would be. Who's going to front run in the champion chase?
No, but he's only going to give John Bon a good lead, isn't he?
Why? Do you think John Bond's the greatest chaser of all time?
Absolutely not. But no, look, it's not a bad shout, and it's not something I ever thought about. But when you're going back from 3 to 2, it's a massive difference. And one that might look like it's quick over 3 mightn't be so quick back.
Not for the good horses, though. Desert Orchid, no problem at all. One man, I think LA Fonse is a one man. That's what I think he is.
Do you think he'd handle Cheltenham?
I don't know. Lots of people have said that, Paddy, but you've got no evidence.
No.
Like, you might be right. Absolutely 100%. He might hate Cheltenham. He might be a flat track bully, but he's not done it. So what's the point in saying he won't do it when you don't know?
But wasn't it lovely to see him running the King George?
It was.
They had plenty of options to get out and run them in that. Disappointing the time before.
All the French horses,
You
to be
know.
honest, even though some of them were
Yeah,
tailed off.
they're coming. And it's great to see. It makes viewing better, and it's brilliant for English racing.
That's because you'll go back to your time when you remember Uppsala, Algan, the Fellow, you know, these French horses that came across, the Dooman machines back in the day.
Jack Rico, yeah, I remember
Oh,
that.
Jacques Rico.
Yeah.
The old cab, he'd call a cab every fence.
Yeah.
Way.
No, but it's good. You know, people go on about English prize money. You know, you look at a place like Suddle yesterday and faking them. They don't. Sometimes you got to compliment what's happening with prize money, and when you see the French coming over, it can only be a good thing.
Okay, do you think the King George had any relevance to the Cheltenham Gold Cup at all?
Banbridge left me thinking that he wasn't completely out of that. If they were to consider it.
He's very ground dependent.
Yeah,
isn't he?
obviously. And he could run in the Ryanair, so yeah, I wouldn't rule the Gold Cup completely out, but it'd be a different ball game.
You know the last horse that won the King George that should have won the Gold Cup?
Go on.
Q Card. But this jockey decked him at the top of the hill.
Yeah.
He was absolutely cantering at the time. All he had to do was pop. But no, the jockey had to go.
But he wasn't cantering. Do you ever remember that race? Do you know what? He jumped off and I lost him. I was like, where are you, Q Card? Never going.
Yeah.
Never going. Anyway, we rolled over and we moved on.
But if he hadn't messed that up, he'd be the last horse to won the King George and the Gold Cup.
No, and win the £1 million bonus. Is
If
that
that had happened, you'd probably still be riding because you'd be number one at Paul Nicholls. Or something.
I don't think they do that £1 million bonus anymore, do they?
No.
Shame.
No, because you'd have won it, wouldn't you?
I would have.
What was the first thing you felt when you hit the ground? Did you feel the £1 million or did you feel the losing the race?
Just embarrassment. I knew I'd up, yeah.
That's the fourth one. Callum's just gone. Yeah.
Well, every time you mention Q Card, there'll be language, so come on.
Yeah. Okay, so the last horse to win the King George and the Gold Cup was actually long run, yeah. Yeah, but it should have been Q Card, the one you decked. Okay.
Matt, if you want me to polish this champagne, you're going the right way about it.
Spillane Tower. Okay, can we go into the John Durkin now? Can we get into this?
Yeah, this is your second one. Go on.
Yeah, so for the last 3 years, I've written the same thing the Monday after the John Durkin. You get all the experts in the paper, the expert jury, telling us that there's a changing of the guard because Galopin Des Champs gets beaten in a 2.5 mile race. Like, how far's the Gold Cup?
3-2.
So why has anyone got any interest in what happens over 2.5 miles?
Do you know what? Since I retired, I've actually learned a bit about knowledge and opening your mouth, and you start to watch a lot more racing, and I have learned so much from some of the things I've said already, but yeah, he blew me away at Leopardstown.
What, fact or file? Well,
Fact
hold
to
on.
file.
Let's
We haven't got to fact to file yet. Fact to file.
Just to,
You continue on with Galopin Des Champs and then we get to him.
I'll get back to Q card if you don't shut up. Just in case people think we're after timing, let's just remind you out there just how spot on I was actually about the John Durkan. This was a fantastic horse race, full of horses not running over the trip that they're meant to run over. It was like sticking a whole load of champion chasers over 3 miles and saying, well, that's a great race. Yeah, but they're not doing what they're going to be doing. I find the reaction, while I enjoyed the race, and of course it was amazing, but the reaction to it I find quite extraordinary. I don't think it's given you any clue whatsoever to what happens in a Cheltenham Gold Cup. Okay, so you meant Factor File. Let's just think about Factor File. Do we give up on him or not?
No, but Matt, to style of racing you need to win a Gold Cup, Factor File's got to change things slightly. He just over-raced from the minute he jumped off. He was just too keen. He was too keen. I think over time, I'm not sure if it's going to be quick enough for the next year's Gold Cup. This year's now 2025. But he's got to learn to just race a little bit more relaxed and just chill out a bit like me, just relax.
But if you were our sponsors, BoyleSports, would you be wanting to lay him for the Gold Cup?
Absolutely not.
No. Still, what about changing tactics with him? They've been dropping him out all the time. Do you think he could be ridden a bit more forward? Try that.
Yeah, it was I don't know. I don't think dropping him out would work, Matt, because sometimes a horse, whether you ride him third or fourth or last, he'll be the same keenness. So you often think, well, I'm better off being keen third or fourth than I am being keen out the back because I have to make up all that ground. I'd say what wouldn't do him any harm is a couple of races up to the Gold Cup. He needs a bit of match practice and just take the edge off him a little bit.
Do you think the tempo of some of the races in Ireland, do you think it's very different to the tempo, say, in the King George? Do you think Irish races are run at a different tempo?
I think Irish racing tempo puts a lot of the English racing to shame, if I'm honest.
Really?
I watch some of the English racing at the minute and I actually cannot believe what I'm watching. I can't believe what I'm watching. You sometimes question why there's no horses, why there's no good horse in the UK. You only have to sometimes watch the race, Matt. The speed they're going for the first 3 or 4 furlongs. The reason being, when that jockey goes into the parade ring, you have every trainer saying, handy, good start, handy. This is why someone like Harry Skelton wins so many races, because he's going to go out there. They're all going to go flat out. He's going to think, well, I can do what I want. I'm going to take my time. Sean Bone the same. He can't go that pace. He's going to go back. I think we leave a lot of horses out there in this country. And in Ireland, they go steady, and they sprint the last 2 furlongs. Horse pulls up, fresh as a daisy, home, ready for the next day.
Yeah. Hold on, Pat. Dishoom. I love an Indian, and Dishoom is, Matt Chapman, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I know, because I looked on the website, and you just can't book a table for months. But this will be a big bill. If it's over $2,000, you can book us in. Okay, yeah. Okay, well, bear you in mind. I'll get back in an hour. Sorry, I'm just in the middle of a podcast. Sorry. Sorry, Pat. Right. Do you like Indian food?
Love it. Had an Indian last night, actually.
Dishoom is fantastic. We'll give them a free plug just in case someone at Dishoom watches this. Apart from Constitution Hill, I think Sir Gino could get some cult status fairly quickly. I think he could be right up there.
So Gino blew me away, Matt. I was absolutely blown away by him. I was like, straight on, where did he come from? Who had him? Where did he win? It is incredible performance. Wow.
I was lucky enough to be just a couple of feet away from Nikolai Chastel de Boinville when he came in and spoke to Hendo. And the first thing he said was to do with the final fence of that race, where the horse didn't seem to see a perfect stride, but jumped it perfectly. Would what struck Nico there, would it be the fact that the horse was able to organise himself so well? Would that be the thing that makes Nico think this is an absolute bomb?
Yeah, he probably got him out of a bit of a hole. I always thought in that situation, going down to a last fence, Matt, I learned through experience that there was. I used to look at it like a set of traffic lights: green, amber, red. Okay? So when I've had enough falls at the last fence or enough fences, what I used to tell myself going to the last fence, is it green or is it red? Green was you are 1, 2, 3, long spot on, you're coming. But red was like, no. 5 strides away, no. Hands up, get its head up, you're going to meet this short. I think Nico got left in the amber position on Sir Gino going down to that last. He got left in a bit of, I don't like this, I don't know where I am. And he put a shorty in. He was class. It was class to watch. More so the horse than your man on top.
You can't take this too personally. You got it wrong. Nico got it wrong.
I ain't got any beef with Nico, alright?
Doesn't sound it.
But anyway, what? Yeah.
I can only repeat. You got it wrong. Nico got it right.
Yeah, but he said some stuff after.
What did he say?
Stick it where the sun don't shine.
I don't know if he's going to answer. I've just suddenly, I just had a sudden thought. I'll give Nicky a quick call just to check that everything's okay. It's terrible time, 10 o'clock declaration time. It's the worst possible
No, you
time
could
to
get
call
him
it.
now, because he'd have done it.
We hold on. Nicky, this is the worst time to call you, isn't it?
Well, I'm halfway up the hill with a man called Whitaker.
Well, Ed Whitaker. I was going to say that could be a completely different story that perhaps we shouldn't. We're live on a show right now, Nicky, so I'll be very quick. Everything I always do, usually I do it on a Wednesday morning, recording on Thursday because Wednesday was New Year's Day. Everything good with the big guns at the moment?
Yeah, very good. That's why Mr. Whitaker is here to take a picture of them.
Amazing.
Yes, they're all fine. I'm out here with John Bon as we speak. He's
Ask him if he's
marching
running.
around,
Where does he run?
away. It's a lovely sunny morning. It's mine as good as knows what. Very healthy.
Can you ask him if he's coming for the dinner? I want him.
And Paddy's with me, obviously, in disgrace. He's just checking. You're going to come to dinner with us, aren't you? And pump up the bill a bit.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
I want him there. I want him there.
Nick,
Very expensive taste.
don't you worry.
Yes.
Don't you worry. Unfortunately, Paddy, of course, gets paid a huge amount for this show. Nicky, can I ask you one question? When Nikolai came in after Sir Gino, the first thing he said to you in the paddock was the final fence. There was something about the final fence that he was really impressed with Sir Gino. What did he actually say to you?
I think he just shortened up rather just nicely, didn't he? I mean, it just proves he can do it both ways. I mean, he's an aggressive type of horse. When the best thing that happened to him in that race, he just gave the first a little rub, and it sort of put his. I like the way that he gauged brain very quickly. He just realised they're a bit bigger than what we schooled over at home, and they need a little bit more respect. He learnt that very, very quickly, which I was impressed with. And at the last fence, he was short and quick, very quick.
Yeah. I mean, he was magical. Nicky, I'm gonna keep you. You'll be pleased to know that already on this show, Paddy has said that he thinks Constitution Hill is now beatable. The clear message is that some people never learn, Nicky.
Paddy, we'll see.
Nicky's brilliant.
I agree with Paddy. Nothing is unbeatable.
Sir Gino is.
I still think the Constitution is the one they've got to beat anyway.
Yeah. Well, all I can say to that, Nicky, is that clearly New Year's Eve is still hanging over you because the day you're agreeing with Paddy Brennan is the day that you need to start worrying. Thank you for answering the phone, Nicky. Thank you. Have a great day.
Cheers,
Happy New Year, Nicky boy.
Happy New Year to you.
Cheers, Paddy.
Bye.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Nicky Henderson. It's always good when they are.
We got to admire that man.
There'll come a point in the show when I ring someone and they don't answer.
We got to admire that man. He takes it, he gives it. I seen him at Kempton after he was saddled. His wife laughed at me and I told him, you are coming for dinner.
Yeah. Also, I wrote an article this week that he said he's not going to, he doesn't shirk battles. What he has is plans for horses. And if that plan fits in with taking on, he didn't expect Lossiemouth, he didn't expect Ballyburn, he still took them on. I think there is, and I know people will say this is just sycophancy, and I get that. I get it. Is he going to the Dublin Racing Festival with these horses? The answer to that is clearly no. But it's not a case of shirking with Henderson. It's a case of he has a plan.
Matt, Nicky Henderson is a genius, and we can use that word softly, but the way he's handled things, you look at last Cheltenham, he pulled all them horses out. Sir Gino, John Mon. That you can imagine how massive that decision, and how many trainers would have actually went, no, it's Cheltenham, I'm going to run him. He probably saved Sir Gino's career there, because he decided, no, I'm not happy with you, you're not 100%, you are not running. And look what we've seen in the recent weeks. Sir Gino, if you ask me, of all the winners over in Christmas, what impressed you the most? He did.
You know what impressed me least?
What?
Your prediction for Constitution Hill. And you can stick that where the sun don't shine.
Nico, mate. Boy.
Imagine the sun shining quite brightly down there by the amount that you've had to. Anyway, right. Willie Mullins. Now we're recording this early on Thursday morning. We usually, as I say, record on a Wednesday morning. So it's January the 2nd. On January the 1st, Willie, I think, had 6 winners, if I remember rightly. But Ballyburn beaten, Lossiemouth beaten, James de Burley beaten, Full Confession beaten, Aranzo Dairy beaten, Mystical Power in the Fighting Fifth useless, Capadano in the Betfair Chase useless, Corinthia beaten, Janadil useless, Space Trucker, Space Tourist I should say, going back to yesteryear, useless, Uncle Phil useless, Fine Margin useless. And what did all these horses have in common? They all came to the UK. At home, Willie's banging in winners, but over here, I mean, he's not going to be hammering Dan Skelton in the Trainers' Championship at the moment, is he?
It looks that way at the minute, but you know, I think first and foremost, Willie had to wait on the ground a little bit. Christmas, it didn't probably flow as well as he'd like, but he still had winners. Okay, he didn't have as many, but the expectation on someone like Willie Mullins is massive. He is expected to perform every single day to a level that no one else is at, so he'll be back.
I mentioned Dan Skelton. He had the new Lan, who was super impressive in the... Is it still the Cello? It is the Cello, isn't it? I suddenly thought, does it have a new name? And Potter's Charm, of course, won the Formby, formerly the Tolworth, in what I thought on paper was the most competitive novice hurdle we've had so far this season. It's difficult to tell what happened because most of it was in the fog. These are basically the same types of horses, 2.5 mile hurdlers at the moment. Potter's Charm winning over Shorter, the new Lan. Which one? Actually, I'll tell you what. Before I ask you this, let's have a look at the Cello Hurdle and New Line. Let's pump up the volume and have a look at the commentary on that for a second.
There's only one horse still on the bridle, and that is the New Lion, and he's being waited with by Harry Skelton. Electric Mason running a blinder. Bill Joyce up his inside, and here's the New Lion as they jump the final flight, and Harry Skelton hasn't even moved. Wendigo's back and forth with a battle with Regent Stroll, and now he asks the New Lion to quicken up here, and the response is pretty immediate, and he's still only in second gear. This is an extraordinary performance. He's looking round for non-existent dangers. What a roar from the New Lion, outclasses them in the Cello.
So that was the New Lion. I mean, he couldn't be more impressive.
No, he couldn't, but Regent Stroll was in serious trouble before he even left the parade ring in this race, Matt. So you got to take him out of the race. I'd say if Harry Cobden could have had the choice at the start to pull him out, he would have done. He was sideways coming out of the parade ring, and he was keen on the way to the start, and that is the worst race you can go for with a horse. I think if Paul Nicholls had his time again, that horse would never have ran over 2.5 miles. I really don't. I think he was probably forced into running them in the wrong race because of Potter's Charm. Running the 2 mile at Aintree, they thought Regent Stroll could run in the 2.5 at Newbury. Yeah, I would not rule that horse out. I think he got a mark of 1.34. I think he's a serious horse. Back at 2 miles for now and just letting him use his stride. The New Lion, on the other hand, he was awesome to watch. Harry was brilliant on him, but that race was over 2 out. He was the only one travelling, and the next 3 or 4 finished in the line. So as much as he was awesome, that race fell apart.
So they run this week over 2 mile 3 at Cheltenham. Which one would you want to ride?
Which one would I want to ride? Very good question. Probably the New Lion.
I didn't expect that answer.
Did you not?
You know what I love about that answer?
What?
Because you and Twiston Davis like this, aren't they? You like.
No, I just the new lines. He's ran 3 times unbeatable. Potter's Charm. How many times he's run? They're 2 fantastic horses, and it's brilliant for UK racing that they're here. But if I was to side with one at the minute, I've worked up sides that new line. I've seen what he can do. I think he's seriously talented.
I think there are great stories with both of these horses. Firstly, the Twistons, obviously Bristol de May's been around, but it's been a little while since they've had a real top-notcher. And this is a stable that should have a top-notcher, I feel. Twiston Davis should have a top-notcher. Since I grew up with racing, they've had top-notchers. Right back, I go back to the Mrs. Muck days. I don't know if you remember Mrs. Muck, but she was a proper horse, Mrs. Muck. Scudamore used to ride him, the old Scudamore, Peter. And I followed those colours, the black, white and yellow, ever since Mrs. Muck. And almost every other season they've had something really good. They've slightly lacked that in the last few years since the new one came along.
Bristol de May.
Yeah, and Bristol de May. Although I don't even think Bristol de May was. I know he won all those Betfair chases, but that was kind of just being a course specialist in conditions, wasn't it?
Yeah, but Matt, still a seriously hard horse to find. You say that, but I think what you got to remember with buying horses from the sales is how hard it is to buy good horses. How hard. You think we could go to the sales tonight and buy a horse for 250 grand? It means nothing. It doesn't mean we're going to be able to get a Saturday horse. So
I know I could go to the sales today. Someone gave me 300 grand, and I'd buy a horse better than some of the bloodstock agents that I see buying horses.
Yeah, but there might only be one horse there make 300 grand.
The ones who went to the Caldwell sale, those are disgraceful for me. Anyway. I don't think it is rocket science. I think it's just a case of knowing the right.
I think everyone's learning from that, though, Matt. I think it's been an eye opener the last 12 months on the purchase and the price tags of some horses. I think if you're putting a horse into someone for 450 grand, let's say, very hard to get them to come back a year later to buy another one. So you got to be careful on that.
I genuinely don't think it's rocket science. I think it's just.
Like, can you go and find me a horse if I give you 300 grand today, which I don't have, to find me a Gold Cup horse?
Okay, well, you would have it, but you just done all your money on Constitution Hill. I feel there are horses on the flat running that I see frequently that wouldn't cost anything near that. That if someone bought them that night or that afternoon, they would be winning lots of races with them. And I think it's a lack of. There's a lack out there.
Okay.
It's connections. Horse racing's all about connections. It's like connections on this. We do want to move on. I thought I would just. Can we just try one more call? Just before we move on. I just thought we'd try Nicholls quickly. I tell you what, I don't know if he'll answer.
He will.
Well, I don't know because it's terrible timing.
No, it's not.
We're calling it 10:06. He's just doing all the texts, but we'll see if he just see if he answers. He usually does, but you can't guarantee it. It's going to come a day when no one answers. And this could be it by the sounds of it. 4 rings for Paul Nicholls. Look, Paddy's recording this. This is going to be my Constitutional moment. Look, he's not answering. Look,
he's giving you 0.
He's seen the name come up.
Call has been forwarded.
Boy! Boy!
You're trying to reach is not available. At the tone, please record your.
He's giving you 0 there.
I reckon he'll call back.
Yeah.
And if he does call back, you can put that.
Giving you 0.
Right, we've got to move on. So finally, I want to confirm absolutely, you're the new lion over Potter's Charm.
Yeah.
Special guest time here on Unbridled. And I'm going to name some horses now, Paddy. You see if you can. I mean, it's slightly stupid this because you know who it is. But in recent times, Fiercely Proud, Personal Ambition, third time lucky he managed to score a big win. And back in the day, his first big winner, 2014, a horse called Croco Bay. It is the one and only
Kielan Woods.
Kielan Woods, who is a fascinating character, actually. I'm really looking forward to this. Hello, Kielan. How are you?
Morning, lads. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I mean, let's hope you're going to lighten up a little bit. Usually by now we've had some sort of story about Paddy. Actually, let's just go straight into it. Do you know, because I actually genuinely don't know this. I didn't actually ask you, although we do some research. Do you know Paddy well?
I'd say I've probably had more bollicans off Paddy Brennan than any other jockey while I've been in the way room anyway. That's probably fair to say, is it, Paddy?
Yeah, I'd say, yeah. I see a bit of Paddy Brennan and Kielan Woods, so I did used to pick on him a little bit.
Okay, give us an example, Kielan. Like, these must be things that stick in your mind. So give us an example or two.
I was trying to think actually. I remember when I rode my first winner, our first double in England, and Paddy was kind of riding a bit for Charlie Longson at the time, and I had a lovely phone call off Paddy on the way home. Hey, well done today, boy. That was good. Like, fair play. Good job. See you tomorrow. And, that was nice. Nice phone call off Paddy. And I remember walking by him in the weigh room the next day, and I had to walk by him to get to my peg, and he goes, "Oh, here he is, lads. Keelan, this game's easy, Woods." And I was like, and he's like, "Best thing you do now is go and sit down. I'm sick of hearing about this double yesterday." And I haven't even said hello. So yeah, that's just typical Paddy, I think.
Hey, there's just one other story, Keelan, I respect to. Can you just tell him the one about the M6 services, please?
Oh yeah, so we were during COVID, we shared a lift up to Aintree, and I said, "Oh, we stop for a quick coffee." "Oh yeah, grand job." So we stopped just before the M6 toll. I think it's called Northern Coins or something like that. Anyway, but Matt, I promise you, from leaving the motorway to the services, it felt like about 10 miles. He'd never stopped abusing me once about going to a services that's so far off the motorway, and abused me the whole way back to the motorway. We both went to Aintree. Lucky enough, we both had a Grade 1 winner. Drove home. It was a great day, all in all. The next day at about 10 o'clock, he was driving racing with his wife Lindsay and kids, and I get a phone call. "Here, what was the name of that services we stopped in yesterday?"
Oh, yeah. That was brilliant.
That would be 2022, Miller's Bank.
Yeah,
That was
passing
it, yeah.
glance. He was a passing
Good
glance,
day.
wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was by passing. Was he a passing glance?
Passing glance, yeah.
Yeah.
He was, yeah.
But yeah, sorry, I went mental to Keelan. I gave him the Fs, and because I have this favourite services on the M6. It's in Starbucks drive-through. I've always got it in my head to stop there just before Haydock. Anyway, this man pulls into a services with a Costa. There was a Greg's and there was a M&S. Anyway, I was going mental. I was like, "What are we doing here? We're services." Anyway, got a coffee. It was actually really nice. So the next day when I went racing, as I say, we rang him. "Keelan, what was that services we stopped at?" So I got to like the services.
Yeah. I mean, Keelan, if it's not hotel rooms that have got dodgy ceilings or noises and service stations, I mean, is Paddy probably the weirdest person you've ever met?
Oh, he's an absolute weirdo. Like, he'd pull into one of those Starbucks or Costas, and he'd get to the machine that you talk into, and he'd be like, "What you want? Coffee, coffee, coffee. Anything else?" "No, nothing else." And he'd get to the window then, "I want a sausage bap as well." He couldn't just order it 2 seconds ago, like.
Oh, brilliant.
Keelan, what's
But,
your...
yeah.
I have no idea about this, genuinely. I should do. What's your background? Like, how did you become a jockey?
I've no backgrounds in horses from my family. My auntie and uncle were lived right beside the Cleary family. Rory Cleary rides in the flat in Ireland, and I
Sean
kind of
Cleary,
grew up
Lord
with
of
them
mercy on
boys
him.
a bit. Yeah, and Sean Cleary, yeah. So yeah, kind of grew up with palling around with them boys. They were massive into the pony racing and stuff like that. And they kind of didn't really have anything safe enough for me to ride, so they sent me to a riding school, and that's where I started. Really, I was probably hadn't left that riding school then for, I'd say, 10 years once I started going there.
But Keelan, it was Paul Flynn you went to then that got you into coming to England, wasn't it?
I went to race the apprentice school then,
Right.
and I went working for a trainer doesn't train anymore, Caroline Hutchinson. She was a great trainer to train
I
me.
remember.
Really hard woman, but yeah, she was very good, and she stopped training, so I ended up in Paul Flynn's Flynners.
Yeah.
And
Mighty Flynn.
yeah, he sent me to England then. We were galloping one morning, and he just turned around and he said, "Oh, do you want to go to England?" And I said, "Just and Paddy, that's kind of how he talks, isn't it?" I said, "I hadn't really thought about it, to be honest, but like, yeah." He goes, "All right." So I got back into the lorry to go back, and he goes, "You starting Philip Hobbs's on Monday?" And I was like, "All right, okay." Anyway, it turned out that all changed around. I just started in Charlie Longson's on the Monday instead.
There you go.
I want to ask
Yeah.
you just quickly about you, Kieran, because Keelan, I might be wrong about this completely, but I've got obviously opinions about everyone I meet in horse racing. You're a bit like a Chris Gordon for me, in that always charming, always smiley faced, always looking happy. But I get the feeling that behind the scenes, this all means a massive amount to you. Like, this is deadly serious stuff.
Oh yeah, it's serious business, isn't it? You know, it's yeah, no, it definitely means a lot to me. This, so does, you know, it's not just a job. It means, yeah,
Well, Matt, let me
it's everything, really, isn't it?
like with Keelan. What Keelan's had, we've look back at his past years. You know, big whip bands, etc. But what Keelan has as a jockey is something you can always fix. He has got an unbelievable hunger to win. He's a winner, and you can always address his situation. With Keelan, I always say, the less scared you are to lose, the better jockey you will become. He's come a long way in the last 12 months, a very long way.
I mean, that's interesting to hear, Keelan.
Has
And
that-
sorry, the reason I was saying what I was saying, and I think it's linked exactly to what Paddy says, is that the whip bands you've had and your career in the last 2 or 3 years has been blighted by whip bands, ridiculous whip bands in my view, but still whip bands. Essentially, you broke the rules. I feel it's that desire that behind the scenes you so want to win. Is that fair?
I think so. Yeah, it's just, yeah, you always just look. Wait, you kind of get stuck in. You want it so much, you miss a few winners. Even when you have a winner, you still want it more. And for me, it was probably not being able to accept when I was beat. You know, most of my whip bands, I was kind of finishing second and third, and the winner had won well, and I kind of, yeah, I just, when I should have put the whip down and not use it again. That's when I got done. I just couldn't accept when, yeah.
And as well,
When
Matt,
enough was
that
enough,
probably,
really.
as well for Keelan, it probably came as a time where he was under a bit of pressure in the job. You know, he had a lot of bands. Ben Jones started coming in, riding a few Ben Paulings. He's come back. He's thinking, right, this needs to win or my job's on the line. He's in a position of a lot of jockeys. And it's very interesting to hear his views. But what?
Hold on, Keelan, was that it? Was that like this time last year? You told me at Newbury the other day you got like a 45-day ban or whatever, and effectively that led to you losing the job with Ben Pauling because Ben Pauling just said, "I can't have a stable jockey who's not here a lot of the time." When that happens, what does, because you got a young family and stuff, as far as I'm aware, like when you go home that night, what does Kielan Woods feel and do?
Yeah, well, look, I do try to leave it all behind when I go home. My wife's very good at that, so she is, Christy.
Yeah, he's definitely punching with Christy.
she
Go on.
she wouldn't let
lady.
you wallow too much now at home about what's happened at the races that day, which is good. Yeah, look, we're very busy at home with horses as well. Christy runs a business, so kind of when I'm not racing, I go home. Lucky enough, when I was banned, I had that to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I was still getting to work, which is good. So like a lot, whereas a lot of lads wouldn't have any wage coming in. I was lucky enough that I was able to muck in there and stay earning a wage that way. But a lot of lads wouldn't have been as lucky as me.
And do you think, Keelan, do you think people feel the pressure in a job? Do you know, not just pointing the finger at Ben in this situation, but do you think when you're under pressure at a job, it does make you ride a bit more aggressive and maybe do things that you wouldn't do if you were riding lots of winners? And it's a tough gig, isn't it? And it's tough for a lot of lads in that way room.
Maybe like that day in Newbury last year when I got all them days, just finished third in the shallow hurdle, thought he'd win, jukebox man, and then I come out in the next race, Henry's friend who actually won the Mandarin chase the other day, and I went 2 over on him with the whip, and he won. But yeah, like, do you know, if maybe if I hadn't finished third on the jukebox man, or he'd have won, that probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
It's all experience.
Yeah.
This is a tricky one, because effectively there are rules. Yeah, if you
Yeah.
break the rules, you deserve the ban. I have no problem with that. I think the rules are completely crazy, but they are the rules. But 2 over. I mean, Keelan, is it fair to say that when you go 2 over, you go 2 over because the horse is responding? It's not through some sort of viciousness where you're just so upset in the saddle that you just keep hitting. you only do that when the horse is responding, yeah, or don't you? Maybe it is
Absolutely, yeah.
viciousness. I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, absolutely. Anytime I've been done for using the whip too many times, the horse has been responding. I've never been banned for flogging a horse that's going nowhere. So yeah, like it's hard, when you get competitive and you're racing, it does get it's hard to hard to keep count on it.
But Matt, one more
But,
thing on
yeah.
that, because we'll move on in a minute. But what's made Keelan the rider he is today is the stick rules. As much as we don't agree with them, and Keelan's rightly said he never did it in a way he went 1 or 2 over, we get all that. But that's made him. I think the stick rules, and you're probably going to shoot me down for saying this, has made these lads better riders, because they've got to use their heads more. They got to think, well, I can't go to the front now, or I'm going to have to use my stick more, or I can't. It's all more in the brain, and I think that's what's making someone like Keelan the rider he is today. To me, he's one of the very best jockeys out there, and he's only going to get better.
Okay, I'm not. I could argue. I'm not going to.
Okay.
Because I feel you can mix all that with using
Yeah,
your stick as well.
okay.
Like at the end of the day, if the horse is responding, that's all that should be matters. And if a jockey's in 15th, sorry, I've said I wouldn't answer it, but if a horse is in 15th place or something, and the jockey uses it 20 times, of course, ban them as much as you like. But if the horse is responding, is clearly reacting, encouraged, no one in the world is looking at that race and thinking it's a problem, then for me, you should have trust in your stewards to make the judgment call. And the only reason you have the rules is when you don't trust your stewards. And I think it's a stewarding issue rather than a whip issue. But as I said, we could go on.
Can we just touch on one last thing? Harper's Brook.
Oh, yeah, because you won on him the other day. Harper's. I mean, what a character.
Yeah,
How much fun is he?
What a ride.
I got good satisfaction out of that now, just because he's a hard horse to win with, isn't he? He's very, very talented. But it just all worked out now, did it? Thank God.
Do you, Kielan, it feels like you're in a good place right now. Like the Megsons are there for you. We all know that those kind of jobs, they come and go.
You're still riding for a lot for Ben.
But you're riding for Ben. I imagine you almost die every time the jukebox man wins, but that
will make him better.
Well, possibly. But it feels like things are coming together, Kielan, and the most important thing is you're looking really good.
I look, I
not looking, obviously.
I don't know though, looking good now, Matt, but glass houses and all them.
Yeah, Keelan, that boy.
Look, I'm very lucky that I've got some really good people to ride for. Obviously, the Megsons are big supporters of mine, and they got some lovely, fantastic young horses. Still getting to ride plenty for Ben Pauling, and Alex Hales. They're all fantastic supporters of mine, and I'm picking up plenty of other rides for people as well, which is brilliant. So long may it continue.
Finally, Kielan, was Paddy's style in the saddle ever one you thought you might copy?
I tried it once, I think. It didn't work out.
See, there you go. It was unique.
It was a very unique style.
Very
unique fella, I think.
Yeah. No one would disagree with that. We really appreciate you stopping on. It's a day when I know you're heading off to Huntingdon. You're going to be busy, which is exactly what someone with your talent should be. So let's hope 2025 is a special year for you and the fam, and keep up the good work. Really pleased you're doing well, Kielan.
Cheers, Matt. Thanks very much for having me on.
Man. Thanks so much.
Thank you to Kielan Woods. I tell you what, I think we've almost got through a whole bottle on a show. I feel like I've had a bit too much.
Lovely. Nice to see you relax, Matt. That tension and anger rubs off on me.
Everyone is tense, and they're sat just a couple of feet away from Patrick Brennan. Do you have a middle name?
Joseph.
Patrick Joseph Brennan.
Sounds soft, doesn't it?
I'm James.
Oh, yeah.
Matthew James. Right, we got to move on. Sorry.
I could stick another middle name in there.
Yeah. What is it about sticking things with you? It's not where the sun don't shine. It's you want to stick things on me.
De Bonville got one up on me there, didn't he?
I mean, his whole career is one up on you. Multiple, of course, Grade 1 winning hero. I think he's a fabulous jockey. I really do.
Probably not good for your wet Monday around 0 to 100 faking him, is he?
Yeah, I think that's very harsh. I think you're judging him by yourself.
He's
Big money,
big
Paddy.
stage, big man, big goal.
Big money, Paddy, that they used to call you.
Did they?
Which is good news because you're going to need some big money when it comes to my restaurant bill.
No, but the restaurant bill, we worked that out. If you were to have an auction with Michael Buckley and Nicky Henderson, obviously leaving you out, you pay a few quid for that.
Yeah, but the thing about that is, if they came to dinner and you pay, they talk to you, but they're not going to talk to you. So you're going to pay for them, and they're going to ignore you the whole night because they think of you as disgraceful.
But I'm going to get them sloshed.
I don't think Hendo or Buckers, actually Buckers would.
We will. You won't.
Right, let's move on. This show has become stagnant, which is surprising considering we were nearly a bottle down. Right, horse to follow. I'd like a horse to follow for you because people have, in the last week or so, got to know that you're a great judge.
No.
So,
I've worried about my judgments in retirement, but there was a fascinating bumper at Warwick on New Year's Eve, and I really bigged up a horse at Dan's. And I put this on here before it ran. Kepos des Boers. Did I pronounce that right? 'Cause
No.
You say I'm thick.
no.
But
Kiops de Bud.
yeah, I thought it was a seriously talented horse. I rode him out one day and I was so impressed. Anyway, he got beat. He finished second, but I would not rule him out. I think he's still a very good horse, but the winner was exceptionally impressive. No drama this end. Paul Nicholls in the famous Paul Barber colours. Max McNeil half share. Two serious horses, I'd say.
Okay. Jockey to follow?
Charlie Maggs. He was
Oh, the twin.
he was in the right place at the right time on Boxing Day. Callum Pritchard could not make.
Oh, hold on. Sorry. Paul?
You right?
Oh, you're live on Unbridled with Matt and Paddy Brennan.
I told you wouldn't call him back.
Yeah, because honestly, I rang earlier, you didn't answer, and Paddy just found that the most funny thing. He said that must happen to you all the time, that they just don't answer. How are you?
Seriously, are you live now?
Yeah, we're live. Yeah, please. I mean, you can swear because it's on YouTube, so you can be yourself.
I'm good, thank you. You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Just a quick one. Actually, we're really well because we've just about downed a bottle of champagne on the show, so it's all become chaos. We're just talking about Regent Stroll, work in progress. Just wondering what you thought would happen now.
Well, he's basically, like all of them, had a flu jab. Did do a blood test, it came back, said it wasn't perfect, but it wasn't completely wrong. I think lots of little things we can improve on. Possibly, some have run a bit disappointing over Christmas, some have run really well. So I think we can be a better place in 3 weeks' time. Also, I think between us, Harry and I have had a good chat. We might have got the tactics a little bit wrong, and he thought he's very keen going to post. We dropped him out last. I don't think that suited him. I think he's probably better off being keen in the first one or two because he sort of stays on strong, which he's been in his bumpers. But he's work in progress, more experience, and he'll be fine.
There was a little bit of lossy mouth about him in that, although he was beaten, he wasn't beaten that far, and he did sort of, for a horse who's pulled, he did keep going, didn't he?
Yeah, well, that's the thing that he does. In his two bumpers in the race the other day, he was keen enough, handy, but kept galloping, and he is essentially a galloper. He has just got to learn to relax in his races, and that'll come, with experience. They're not all straightforward, and a lot of those horses that race behind the bridle tend to stay on strong. He's just got to get relaxed and then use that staying power. But it's as I said, he's work in progress, and we'll improve on that.
Can you ask Paul if I don't I'm not trying to degrade the horse, but is the EBF at Sandown something to consider, because his handicap mark is I think it's seriously tempting to look at a race like that. Or do you think?
I don't know. Has he got a mark yet? I haven't.
Yeah, he got a mark of 134, 136. I think he did so much wrong and he still ran an unbelievable race.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, that is definitely something to be on the radar.
And then entry, baby.
All options are open, really, and we'll make a plan. But that's the sort of mark you can win that race off, and that race could well suit him. Yeah,
Could you ask about the horse yesterday? It was awesome.
I'm definitely going to drop him back in trip the next time he runs.
Okay. Do you think in some ways he'll come into his own over a fence, though?
Yeah, that's what it'd be. I mean, we've always thought that, and he's a big strapping horse, and he will be. And sometimes horses, a little bit like in the Waterside, he's been just like him. He was very keen over hurdles and took a while to relax. That fence tends to make a difference to them, and they'll improve, and I think that'll be the case with him.
Caldwell Potter. Now, this is what I want you to do. You can call me a plonker straight away. I want you to bang him out in front in the game spirit against Sir Gino. How about that?
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens that weekend, because obviously there's the Warwick race as well. I think soft ground is definitely the key to him. We have got options. There's there's a Windsor Novice Chase in 2 weeks' time, especially if the ground was testing. There's the Warwick race and the Game Spirit. Of course, the connection's also in load of sets, so we'll have to work together. But again, Khalif de Belay could be very interested in some of those races.
He was really impressive yesterday. Paddy, you wanted to ask him about that?
Yeah, Paul, like just the way he jumped, it was like, I know it's only a 3-runner novice handicap chase, but he was seriously impressive. Every fence you could watch it back and back. I was really impressed with him.
Yeah, and he took a big step forward from Newbury, but that was probably close enough to the run he'd had before. And yeah, and I think he's just turned 5 officially, though I think he was. He's not actually 5 yet. He will keep improving.
Where will he go now? Where will he go now, Paul?
Well, again, he's got those options. Well, he won't go to Windsor. That'll come too soon. But that weekend of the Game Spirit or the Warwick race, we'll see what everyone else is doing. They could be good races for him.
Paul, I really appreciate you calling back. And Paddy loves those horses, but just remember, he is the man who said that Constitution Hill couldn't win. I presume when he was a rider, you thought, Paddy, if you had your stable jockey against Paddy Brennan, you thought, we'll have this, no problem at all.
Thanks,
yeah, sweet revenge a few times. So yeah, it's a game of opinions, and that's what makes it such fun,
Yeah, but it's Paddy Brennan. You must have thought you had him every time, didn't you?
He put me on he made me helped me be champion conditional, so I'm very grateful.
Hold on, did you?
Yeah, he did.
Of course, I can't even remember that.
No,
yeah.
no.
That's some good horses at the time.
No, Paddy's easily forgettable. Thank you very much, Paul. Thanks for ringing back.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Right.
Charlie Mack. Let's touch on him.
That's ruined you.
Yeah,
ruined you. Where did we get to? Yeah, jockey to follow.
Yeah,
do that. I can't remember.
Jockey to follow. My jockey to follow over Christmas was Charlie Maggs.
Okay, you're fine.
No, let me talk on him.
Trainer to follow.
Charlie Maggs. Just want to.
Oh, you want to talk more about Charlie?
I just want to say he was in a position on Boxing Day where he picked up a spare ride for Richard Hobson, and he took it with both hands. And it led to another ride at Haydock for Richard Hobson that also won. When you're in Charlie Maggs' position, you're waiting on an opportunity. I think he's took it with both hands, and he really impressed me.
Okay, a trainer to follow.
Trainer to follow. There's so many trainers out there over Christmas, but I think one trainer that springs to mind is Adam Pogston, who had a winner at Suddle and a big prize money day on a horse he bought off the Tom George. He paid $5,000 for it, and it won a £25,000 race. I was really impressed.
Okay, brilliant. Sorry, there might have been a bit of noise just doing that. The reason being that Sam Thomas, the trainer, has just messaged me.
Oh, God.
He says, you have to talk to Paddy Brennan about this interview, surely. Very bizarre. He's talking about Nicky Henderson and Chantry House and the fact that he was a bit disappointed that Chantry House won because he wanted to run him in a Hunter Chase. I have no idea why that's got Sam going, but it's got to go. It was a bit. Did you see that yesterday?
Yeah, bloody strange interview.
You say about to say bloody strange interview. That
bloody strange
interview. A lot could be strange if we drink anymore.
Nicky was gutted to have a winner on New Year's Day at Cheltenham. I was thinking I gave my arm and leg to have winners here on this day, but there you go.
You would ride with Sam Thomas, didn't you, back in the day, as in horses?
Yeah.
And was he just the most annoying person as the best? I think in general terms, like it doesn't matter whether you're man or woman. You know Brad Pitt, for instance, is a good-looking fella, yeah? It doesn't matter what sex you are, you know. Like, Sam Thomas, was he just really annoying?
Yeah.
Because you know that whatever ball you went to, whatever party you went to, every girl out there would love Sam Thomas.
Yeah, he made you feel ugly.
Yeah.
He'd make you feel ugly when you walked into a bar. You know, you walked in there, your nice shirt, and maybe leave a button down so they could see your chest, and yeah, they weren't interested in your chest. They were just swarming like around Sam Thomas, and you were like, so annoying.
That could go down as one of the great Idols quotes, I think. Sam Thomas makes you feel ugly. Although everyone is beautiful in their own way, of course. Champion jockey in Britain in 2025 jumps is... This is easy.
It's obviously
only one
between
person.
two, I think. It's a
No,
two-horse
between
race.
one.
Sean Bourne is probably the one in the driver's seat at the minute.
Champion trainer in Britain in 2025 is...
Dan Skelton.
He's going to be unbearable, isn't he? He's his champion. Can you imagine him puffing out his chest? Well, he doesn't need to puff it out, does it? It just goes...
No, but I can't imagine he'd be a person that'll ever settle for one.
Who, Dan?
If Paul Nicholls had 10, he'll want 11. He's that kind of man.
I love that team. Genuinely. I love Harry Skelton the way he rides, although he's become less Jamie Moore-ish, and I preferred him when he was like Jamie Moore. I miss Jamie Moore's style. I love those hardcore jockeys that just go hammer and tongs from start to finish.
No, you know what you figure out in that place, Matt? They're not interested in speaking about Unbridled or other stuff in their lives. There's only one thing on their mind. Dan Skelton racing. They're seriously focused, and they got their mind on the prize.
Yeah. Except you're wrong. Because when I saw Dan the other day, the first thing he mentioned was, what an utter fool Paddy Brennan is. 2025 champion hurdle winner is...
2025 champion hurdle winner is Lossiemouth.
You absolute idiot. Now, we've got to wrap up quite soon because we've already gone way over on this show, mainly because I've waffled on too much. But you have not learned your lesson, have you?
Never. I'll stand there again and watch it.
You fool. 2025 Gold Cup winner is...
I might have to give you your away on this one. But I don't want to be jumping off the bandwagon. Galopin Des Champs Factifile. Might have to have two.
You can't have two.
I can.
Well, not two can win it.
Well, one can.
Well, pick which one.
I'll stick with Factifile.
This is Unbridled. It's not sit on the fence.
I'll stick with Factifile. Just got to run a few more times before then. Knock the edge off him.
These are not good questions for you. Who makes... This is a good question, though. Who makes a big comeback?
Who makes a big comeback? Energumen.
Hasn't he made a big comeback?
He might make a bigger one.
Well, he beat a King George winner.
He might make a bigger one.
Slightly people have forgotten about that. He's too old, though, isn't he? Energumen? So at the age of 15, he'll make a comeback, yeah, you think?
Who's yours?
What?
Who makes a big comeback?
I haven't really thought about the question.
Exactly. Well, I hadn't, and I answered it. So you answer it.
I've had 3/4 of a bottle of champagne. Now you're asking me a question about that.
No, but you must have one.
A big comeback in 2025. Me.
Well, where have you been?
Yeah, but I might be down and out soon.
That's
but that's
nice.
another story. Right. One bold prediction. This will be a new for you because you usually sit on the fence. You don't really tell us what you think. So, hold on. If you're listening to this on Spotify right now, you're thinking, what are they doing? Well, we're drinking champagne. That's what we're doing.
It's dark in here, so it feels like evening, so it's great. But one
It's
bold
dark in here. All the lights
prediction,
are working.
This season,
One bold prediction.
that Unbridled is going to be a big hit on YouTube.
On that bombshell, this sensationally was episode 6 done and dusted. Happy New Year to you, pal. This is where you lift your glass up and you go, ching, out of it.